Thank you for joining me in today's class. We are going to continue our lesson on adjectives. Today, I'm going to teach you how to compare adjectives. Sometimes you have one thing in different qualities or different degrees. You can use one word to describe all of these qualities or degrees. So, adjectives can be comparative or superlative. That is, if you have two qualities, you will use the comparative form of the adjective. But if you have, say, three, then you use the superlative form of adjective to describe or qualify whatever noun you're describing. Don't forget, adjectives simply modify nouns or other adjectives. So it could be quality, color, size, and so on and so forth. So if you have, say, something that is tall, another thing could be taller than the one that is tall. And you could have another one that is even more than the second one. So you have tallest. If you're comparing between these two, if it is between these two, then you have the comparative form. Then this one is the superlative form. Big, bigger, biggest. I think this is the one or the form of adjective that many of us are familiar with. But sometimes you don't have to use this form. By adding the morpheme ER and then EST. So you have big, bigger, biggest, tall, taller, tallest, fat, fatter, fattest, strong, stronger, strongest. You sometimes don't need to add those morphemes. Instead, the word or the adjective changes form. Now, this one that would change form to indicate their degree, whether comparative or superlative, are called irregular. These ones are regular, then these ones are irregular. So you have bad, instead of saying badder and baddest, although some people say that it might be acceptable in some context, but the former way is bad, then you have worse, then worst. So this is the comparative form. This becomes the superlative. Don't forget, the comparative is simply comparing between two adjectives. The superlative means comparing between among three. It's now among three adjectives. But if it is comparative, it is between two. Superlative among three. This one, good, becomes better, and the superlative will be best. Little, less than least. Much, more than most. Now, you may have noticed that sometimes you use more or most to qualify certain adjectives. For example, you can have important. If you want to compare, if you want to get the superlative form of important, you can say more important. If you want to get this is the comparative, then if you want to get a superlative, you say most important. So this is the superlative, this is the comparative. And why would you use more and most to indicate the comparative and superlative form of adjectives or some adjectives. The simple explanation is that when you have an adjective that is more than 1, 2, or let's say up to 3 syllables, it will not be it won't sound very nice if you add this morpheme to form the superlative or the comparative. Instead of saying importanter and importantest, it's going to sound very awkward. So instead, you use more or most. This is used with adjectives that have more than, say, 2, 3 syllables. Remember, a syllable is simply the segments that you can pronounce in a word. Important, 3 syllables, so it has more than 2 syllables. And it won't be very, it won't sound nice if you add this morpheme to make the superlative and the comparative form. So instead, you use more and most to indicate that. Don't forget, these are the regular adjectives. You simply add your morphemes to indicate the comparative and superlative form. These ones are irregular, so instead, the form of the word will change completely to indicate the superlative and, of course, comparative and superlative form. Now, some adjectives don't have comparative or superlative form. You call them absolute. They are absolute in themselves. You cannot indicate their degree or quality. They are considered perfect. So you cannot compare them or you cannot grade them. So you can describe such adjectives as non-gradable. They are non-gradable. For example, the word perfect. Perfect as an adjective doesn't have comparative or a superlative form. It is absolute in itself. So you can have perfecter or perfectest. It is or more perfect. So you can have more perfect or most perfect. So perfect as an adjective is absolute. You cannot compare it or grade it. There are other words to say excellent or dead. If something is dead, it's dead. It can be deader or deadest. So dead as an adjective is absolute. You cannot compare it. You also have other words, say freezing. Freezing as an adjective, you cannot grade it. Round, yes, round. If something is round, then it's round. It can be more round or most round. Round is perfect. So there are a couple of adjectives like that. You cannot grade them, and they are called absolute adjectives. Okay, so that's it. You can look up more words as adjectives that are absolute. You can find more irregular adjectives and then regular adjectives. These are some of the ways to describe or some of the qualities of our adjective that we have. Adjectives are comparable. So you can compare 2 adjectives. You can even compare 3. And then there are some that don't have comparison or you cannot grade them. Thank you. We'll see you in the next class.